It was once said that stories are the shortest distance between us and the truth. Others have tried to tell our story, but our story is unique. It must be told from the inside out. Our story is compelling. Our story is true. Our story is Waco. Hello, this is LeRoy Gillis. Waco is live, and we have a special guest here with us this evening, Mr. Dexter Hall. And Mr. Hall, thank you so much for being a part of the show tonight. Tell us, because we got to know who you are. Waco is one of them places where, you know how we look at you first, then we want to know who your folks is and, you know, where you come from. Tell us a little bit about your background and who you are.
Well, as you stated, and first of all, thank you for having me. My name is Dexter Hall. I'm actually born and raised early on here in Waco. I was born at the old Hillcrest Hospital.
Wow.
Right in North Waco.
We know about it.
I know about Hillcrest. I was here, left probably about in middle school. Did some early years at Mountain View Elementary School.
Mountain View, okay.
Did a year or so at Lake Air.
Okay, yeah.
Right in the middle of middle school, my family and I moved to California.
Okay.
And so I've spent the last 35 plus years in California. So the greater portion of my upbringing has been in California, and I just recently returned to Waco about a year ago.
You're back home. You're back home, and we just glad to have you. Tell us about what you did professionally. What were you doing in California, and how'd you get back here?
Well, for the last 35 years of my life, I've spent in financial services. And in financial services, I've done a multiplicity of roles and had a multiplicity of roles. I've done mergers and acquisition, working on some mergers and acquisitions for some of our larger financial institutions. I should say, let me take it back to the beginning. I actually had humble beginnings. I started as a teller. I started as a bank teller.
A teller at the bank.
Cashing checks every single day.
Wow.
When I came in, that was me saying, hello, how are you? And how can I help you today? But thanks be to God and some really great mentors and sponsors and people who really took an interest in me, that I've had the opportunity to pretty much work every position you can think of in a branch, whether it's new accounts. I've been a branch manager. I've also had the opportunity to be a district manager, which is one of the current role that I have that brought me back to Waco. But in addition to that, I've worked in learning and development. So I've designed and structured training programs.
Wow.
I've also done mergers and acquisitions. So working on some pretty large mergers in specific areas where you are not only merging two institutions together, but you are merging property and people and different types of resources. So lots of work in that particular area, some project management work. I know a minute ago we were just off air talking a little bit about some of the infrastructure changes that happen through financial regulations. So in some regions within California, I managed some of those projects where we had to get some of those regulations implemented. So had an opportunity to do that as well. So a multiplicity of things within the financial services arena. I always like to say I've managed anywhere from giving out money all the way to about $4 billion in assets in my lifetime.
Oh, wow. So that's, you know, and it's great. One thing that I like what you said, you started as a teller.
Yes.
You don't have to start at the top, and now you're a regional manager?
Absolutely. Regional district manager.
Regional district manager for Wells Fargo. He started as a teller. And I think a lot of young people, and you may be watching this, we oftentimes want to start at the top of something, and if we can't get that job, then we don't want to do it, or we speak disparagingly about it. I read in the book, Satchel Paige said, the only job that you start at the top is digging a hole. So we're excited to have you here now. I kind of ran across, and I'd heard about Mr. Hall already, because Waco is that kind of city. If it's somebody moving and shaking in Waco, and you, especially if you're not from here, the word gets around fast. And I heard about there is an executive here in Waco with a lot of knowledge, and someone said you need to meet this guy. And just so happened we were getting ready to set up one of our other broadcasts, and he was setting up a project or a program, and I wanted to talk about what it is that you were starting here tonight. I know it has to do with Black men. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, one of the things that in the work that we do, I think it's important that the Bible tells us to whom much is given, much is required.
All right, now.
And
be careful.
When you begin to look at that, I recognize that everything that I've obtained is not because of my own goodness or anything that I've done great, but it's because of the service that I've rendered to others. And even in coming to Waco, I wanted to continue that legacy of working in our community and being able to really impact change within the community, and so really become a viable member. And part of that work that I did in the San Francisco Bay Area had to do with an organization that I belong to called the 100 Black Men of America. That particular group was an organization that galvanized professional African-American men who were very concerned about their community. But they recognized that individually they could affect change, but if they were able to bring together their knowledge, their resources, and their influence, that they could really impact and affect change on a much larger scale. And so wanted to take an opportunity to begin to introduce that particular organization to a group of brothers here in the city of Waco.
You had a nice little group, and
absolutely.
I'm definitely interested too.
It was a nice crowd that came out, to be able to recognize that, hey, everybody's doing really great work. What would happen if we came together to be able to impact that change and to be able to do some of that work together? And so sounds like the brothers that we talked to tonight are very interested in moving forward with potentially creating a chapter, hence to be called the 100 Black Men of Waco. And
you had some movers and shaker brothers in your group there. Sometimes you just need to have the right people in the room, and it looked like you had some of the right people in the room with you this evening. So this is something that's near and dear to you, that you obviously saw some success doing it. You said in San Francisco, the chapter there, and you're trying to bring that here. I think, and you probably, some problems are not just regional, but they are global or nationwide. And I'm sure some of the same obstacles we have here in Waco, they were having some of the same issues in San Francisco. So what were some of the projects you guys were able to do in Frisco? Maybe we could do something here in Waco.
Well, believe it or not, we did a community needs assessment with the brothers to talk about some of the needs that they felt were prominent and needed within the community. And just like in the San Francisco Bay Area, some of the same issues that they brought up were some of the same issues that we're trying to tackle here. Things such as obviously education, mentoring, health and wellness, mental health, financial literacy, STEM, technology. All of those various things are issues in the San Francisco Bay Area. And so we began to tackle those. And we looked at it. The 100 Black Men looks at its organization, and it really breaks it down in what it calls its four for the future. Of course, the four for the future has to do with mentorship, education, leadership, economic development, and health and wellness. And so when you look at that, and leadership, of course, is the overall that, ushers in those four items for the future. Leadership. The one thing about the 100 Black Men is, as I told the brothers today, is that this is a working organization. That these are individuals who have achieved some level of success within the community, and what they want to do is to give back and give back wholeheartedly. So it's not an organization just to grab a pen and say that I'm a member or to put my name down on a roster, but it's an organization to be able to say, I want to impact change. And so basically it's a roll up your sleeve and let's get to work. Don't really care about what your title is, what business you own, or what it is that you've done, except that together we all want to be able to help our community and help our community to grow and help some of the elements that are taking place within our community so that we can thrive.
I think that's awesome. And I've seen, you see stuff on Facebook, and especially out of Atlanta, I've seen some huge organizations, and I've thought to myself, it'd be good if we had something like that here in Waco, but you need somebody to grab the horns and kind of push it forward, and it sounds like that's what you're doing. So you are here in Waco professionally. Tell us about, because you're a son of Waco, and you had great success in your career. Tell us about what you kind of do, because sometimes people, we want to do things, Mr. Hall, but until you can kind of visualize somebody that looks like you, that can do it or has done it, It's hard to believe you could do it. You know, you say you started as a teller.
Well, I think one of the things I think about my profession is that I don't know many folks who look like me, any black men or black boys and girls who, especially in my generation, who grew up and said, "Gee, Mom, when I grow up, I want to be a banker." Because in my upbringing, when I went into the banks, I did not necessarily see anybody that looked like me.
I can believe that.
And even when I did, I really didn't have an understanding of what they did other than the teller. Now, I knew what the teller did. You went to the teller and you gave them something, and they gave you money.
They gave you money.
That's pretty much what they did. Now, I still didn't understand what they did and computers and all that, but I knew what they did. But I didn't recognize that within a financial institution, there are all of these other positions of bankers and managers and the roles that they play and the overall financial wellness of their customers and really partnering with their customers and helping them to succeed financially based upon understanding what your needs are, what any individual's unique needs are. And so when I look at that, it really gave me an opportunity to, I think purposeful in my heart, two things. I've always had a knack for wanting to give back. And in my career, I'm fortunate enough to be able to have been able to give back, number one, by partnering with the community, to be able to share the knowledge that I've gained in terms of financial education, and to be able to help individuals that look like me, amongst many other individuals, to be able to achieve, the dreams of home ownership, or if it was a car that they wanted to buy, or in some cases, some folks just really wanted an account so that they could pay less fees and using some type of payday or check cashing place. And so to be able to show people how they could go about doing that. But in addition to that, I think I've also been fortunate that I've had the opportunity to be able to hire lots of individuals that look like me, individuals whose resumes probably wouldn't have said they shouldn't have been given the opportunity or the chance, but based upon interviewing, I saw something within them, saw something within their hearts that recognized that, hey, this person just needs an opportunity. And so let me give them the opportunity to provide some mentorship, and not only that, but some sponsorship to them. And I got to tell you, it's been paid back doubly. I just returned from a trip to California, and one of the highlights of the trip was to meet with a young lady that I hired probably about 5 to 7 years ago, as a entry-level banker that we called a customer service representative, who went on to become a personal banker. And now she just recently got promoted to become a branch manager, managing her own bank.
Wow.
And that was huge. That was a huge accomplishment for her. Yeah. But I think, as she stated to me at that point in time, it was all those lessons, all those meetings that we did, and that somebody didn't give up on her. And I think that those are the fringe benefits, I call of the work that I've done, that I didn't expect. But at the same time, individuals have come back and to be able to say thank you, and I really appreciate that.
You know, a theme that I pull from that is throwing the rope back over the fence, and sometimes we can get over. And another thing, and if you were watching it, I think this is great that we have Mr. Hall here giving us this insight. When you're trying to navigate inside of a company, or even sometimes in your business, you need that mentorship and that sponsorship. You need someone, and when I was in my 20s and I had some success, and then when I went into business, I kind of had this chip on my shoulder. I didn't want help. I don't know. I'm going to do this by myself. I will figure it out. And then when I sold my company, someone bought in, and the guy that bought in, I still consider him a mentor today. He told me the power of networking. Get the chip off your shoulder. This is business. And I joined the chamber, and I went to the events, and I started networking at things like this, and our business went forward. And I just didn't see it. I needed that mentor to kind of help me. And that's awesome that you've been able to do that. Now, and we're going to wrap the interview up, but tell us someone that there might be somebody watching and want to get into financial services and banking. I mean, how do you even start?
Well, like I said, that's one of those careers where you don't find many people who grew up and said, "Gee, Mama, that's what I want to do. I want to become a banker." Because I think there's so little that's known. It's assumed, but not really known.
That's right.
About what it is that we do. Number one is you got to have a knack for people, and you want to be able to help people. we have the opportunity to, I like to call it, is really change people's lives. When people come in and have an opportunity to sit with me or sit with some of my team members, that they sit down and really they bear all. If you think of it as a doctor, you get an opportunity to really ask questions about you, your family, your future, and then together we begin to develop a plan as to how to help you reach all of those financial goals and dreams that you have for yourself. So whether it's buying a home, whether it's making sure your kids are prepared and you're financially prepared to be able to send them to college, and those become the joys. Those become the joys of really being able to help people. And so you got to have a knack for wanting to be able to help people. Now, once you have that, ultimately the rest is up to you. So there's not any requisite requirements, if you will, or that you are a math degree or anything like that. It really becomes that knack in being able to demonstrate how do you help people and how have you helped people in current roles that you have. And so not only do we deliver service, but I think the most important service is that I want to do it with a smile, but ultimately, if I help you to be able to buy your first home, tell me what kind of smile that's going to be about you and change the life of you.
Changing lives. That is awesome. We're we can't say we're glad to have you because you're Waco. I mean, you're a kid of Waco. He called out Mountain View. I know about Mountain View, Lake Air. I think my wife went to school there. So we're glad that you moved back. And Waco is one of those kind of places that when you're growing up, you may want to try to. I'm getting out of here as soon as I can get old enough. But it's a good place to come back to. For a lot of different reasons, a lot of, economic reasons even. So, but we're glad that you're back. I'm excited about this new project you have. And maybe we can get you back on the show to share some financial literacy things. They don't teach that in school.
That'd be awesome. And
when I was in school, they taught us how to do a grocery list. I learned how to write a check in school. And I got children that grew up that didn't know how to write a check. Because they don't use checks and it's not really taught anymore. And definitely no one told me when I was in grade school that when I got to college and they sent me that credit card with the $1,000 limit on it, but I didn't have a job, that if I went and charged on that credit card, thank you, Jesus, charged on that credit card, whether it be Sears or Exxon, whatever it was, the bill it was not deferred like my student loan, but the bill was going to show up in 30 days. So I think I could have benefited from some financial literacy while I was at Prairie View A&M. Yeah, they wanted their money in 30 days. That's like, well, I'm still in school. That's great, sir, but we need a check. And so, but again, we want to thank Mr. Hall for stopping in, and we look forward to what you got coming up. And I like your theme. You got this throw the rope back over the fence mentality. I see it, and we're just so glad to have you. Again, thank you for watching Waco is Live. Check us out. Subscribe, follow, and like this page. This is LeRoy Gillis, and we will see you the next time.